Chapter 401. Ria rolled her eyes. All right, but in exchange, you will come and protect me. Oh? Another requirement? Samuel asked curiously. It was rare for Ria to ask him something like this. Also, protection? With Ria's countless formation, isn't it easy to protect herself? I'm planning to go deep into the crack, Ria said slowly. And your power is quite good, so I plan to take advantage of it. Samuel? So basically I'm your thug? But thinking about exploring deep into the crack, Samuel nodded and then said, if possible, can we record video when exploring? Do you want to hand it over to the government? Yes. Bringing the soldiers deep into the crack is impossible, so I'm thinking of letting them see the environment there and possibly bring some samples back, Samuel replied. He refused to bring the researcher with him into the depths of the crack, but it was fine to help gathering some samples. After all, he's also the leader in Cydia base, so he wanted to help his base in other ways. Okay, Ria agreed. As long as you don't show my battles, it's fine. Samuel? In other words, he had to be the one fighting when recording. He looked at Ria sideways and she only stuck out her tongue playfully. All right. I'll just pause the recording from time to time. Anyway, it was Ruben who would help him to sort out the videos later after he came back. At that time, there wouldn't be any need for him to worry so much that there was anything that should not be there be seen by others. After the two of them passed by the canteen, Ria paid a visit to her tree and saw that it was growing well. The growth period of trees were longer than the vegetables and those plants on the field, but with the formation that Ria set up, it could be accelerated. Looking at the plant in front of her, Ria calculated that 3 months should be possible. After that, she could transplant more trees and hopefully the mana contained within these plants would allow them to grow faster. How is it? I didn't lie to you when I said that the condition of the Research Institute's garden is not bad. Samuel's tone had a hint of pride when he saw the plants. To be honest, he rarely came here and only checked it with Ria. But he still knew that the base had invested a lot to build this base and it was impossible for his father to let people work badly in this kind of important facility. Yes, they're growing well. Ria nodded in agreement and then said, I'll take them when they're ready. Up to you. You can come here on your own if you want to, Samuel said calmly. Yes. Seeing that Ria was still checking the plants, Samuel's mind was thinking about the milk that Ria gave out before. He found it a bit strange and asked someone to check the farms in Cydia's areas. After all, even if it was the farm from before the earthquake, there should be traces of purchase or something like that from Ria, right? But there didn't seem to be any clue. For such a large amount of milk, there was no transaction record and Samuel couldn't really investigate more because of his position. There was no point in researching these things either. Ria, is it possible to put living animals or humans inside the space storage scroll? Samuel suddenly asked. Ria, who was holding a leaf in her hand, trembled and she looked at Samuel in confusion. Don't you know this kind of thing better? His family was a famous magic warrior's family in that world. While space-related equipment could only be made by magicians, there was no way that his family would not have any of them. And the space equipment that could hold out living being. Well, I know that it does exist, but what I want to know is whether you can replicate them and let it appear in this world, Samuel explained calmly. Because if Ria could make those space storage scroll or whatever the name that could allow human being, animals, or other living creatures, then the world situation in the future might change. Because this kind of space equipment was really cheating. They could even use it as their backup plans in case the situation turned bad and hide within that space storage scroll. The imagination was a bit terrible. I know the concept, but for a magician, Runemaster, to touch the laws of the runes, they have to reach rank 7, Ria said quietly. When she reached rank 7 in that world, she had slowly but surely understood more about the runes and something like that. There was some laws of the world that shaped the runes and allowed it to work as intended. The magic flowed into the runes, passed by, and then transformed to the form that they were familiar with. And at the same time, Ria could feel that the law didn't seem to welcome them that much. Or it was like, Ria had some difficulties when she wanted to contact the world for the sake of her duty development. Now that Ria thought about it, she felt that T might be because she came from a different world and then stuffed into that world one way or another. Since she was not exactly the native, the laws of the world would not let her understood and dance for so long. When it was time, they had to leave. This might be one of the reasons why the world changed and become more hostile to them when they reached rank 7. Because they had reached the rank where they would slowly come into touch with the law of the world and all. Now in this world, there shouldn't be any restriction like that again, right? Chapter 402. The ranks. Rhea didn't know, and she was not exactly in the mood to investigate it. When it was time, she would be able to know what she needed to know. It's the same for Magic Warrior. Samuel nodded when he heard Rhea's words, not too surprised. When he reached rank 7, he came into various secrets of his family that his relatives in that world originally didn't want to let him know. But since he had reached rank 7 and became one of the few most geniuses Magic Warrior, the family felt that it would be better for him to understand these things. Do you need to create your own magic spell? Rhea asked curiously. No, Magic Warrior don't have the requirement of making your own personal magic spell. Samuel's lips twitched. Did she think too much about him? He didn't have the ability to make his own magic spell. Be it in that world or this world, Samuel's ability in this regard was almost non-existent. Thankfully, there was no need for Magic Warrior to make their own personal magic spell. He could use other means. Oh, why do you sound disappointed? Samuel felt helpless and amused when he heard Rhea's words and expression. She didn't seem to be very good at hiding her real emotions, but it might be because she was in front of the people whom she trusted. If it was other people, then no one could say that for sure. I thought that it'll be difficult for you to advance to rank 7, but I guess I'm thinking too much, Rhea replied. I have to maintain a good balance of my mana and also my physical strength. It might sound easier, but people who didn't have balanced talent might find it difficult, Samuel said calmly. These things were not a secret, and Samuel didn't mind discussing about it with Rhea. Besides, there were no one else but her whom he could talk freely about these kind of things. Peter might be a warrior, but he was definitely not someone who liked to use his brain. If he could use his fists to solve his problems, he would not bother turning on his balanced talent. Thinking about a certain Amelia who was still distressed and worried that she would fall asleep when meditating, Rhea nodded in understanding. Even if it's not balanced, you can still advance, right? Technically yes, but it's not advisable, Samuel replied. Those who advanced without balanced result would not be able to go far in their path as Magic Warrior. Besides, if they really wanted to go on one path, they should have either picked Magician or Warrior in the first place instead of becoming Magi Warrior. The magic spells they learned were not as strong as normal magicians. Their bodies were not as strong as warriors. They were basically standing between the two extreme paths, which is why the balance is more important. And this was what? Rhea nodded and then stopped asking. She went back to focus on the plant, and Samuel also didn't speak to disturb her anymore. Once she was done checking, Rhea went back. Samuel accompanied her to the Jones family residence before going away to do his business. And for the next 2 days, Rhea was busy with her experiment with the gun while also drawing a lot of magic scrolls and talisman. It was worth mentioning that she also made another batch of space storage scrolls, because these bases suddenly sent a lot of magic beasts' corpses once again. She naturally accepted them and tossed it all to her world, helping it grow once again, and Rhea collected several mana stones. These mana stones could be used during an emergency. These were the main reasons why Rhea collected magic beasts' corpses. They could be transformed into mana through her world's operation and then used to make formation when necessary. Otherwise, the mana stones could only be formed naturally in the world. On the green planet, it would be lucky if they could see it appear in the next decade. But inside the crack, no one could say for sure. Should I try to look for mana stones mine in the crack? Rhea was controlling the world and let it formed a few mana stones while thinking. After all, mana stones does exist naturally in the world, and it was not only formed through a world treasure. Besides, finding a mine would be much better, because that way she would have a sustainable source of mana stones used in the formation instead of using the magic cores. Well, forget it. I don't have any talent in looking for things. Rhea shook her head and sighed deeply. She knew very well that it was impossible for her to look for the mana stones mine on her own. unless she knew someone who had good talent for exploration or something like that. But it seemed there was none. And the exploration for minerals might be different from looking for mana stone. After all, there was no detectors for mana stones in this world yet. It would take some time for them to develop such technology. At the very least, Ria couldn't make it. They had to find someone with that qualification on their own. Now, what else do I need to prepare? Ria looked at her world and thought about some formation plate that she could make. Even if she didn't use them herself, she could also give it to others such as Amelia and Ruby. These two people needed more protective items than her. And Ria herself knew that for things that she truly needed, the cost was really big. She wailed in her heart. A Runemaster is really a profession that doesn't treat money like money. They could get a lot of money from their work and then they would have to invest more money to make more. Their money never stayed in their pocket for long. Chapter 403. Preparation. Ria wanted to cry when she remembered those. And perhaps she was not the only one. Those side professions in that world were all money-burning profession. Runemasters required a lot of materials from the magic beasts, alchemists required a lot of herbs, and toolmasters required a lot of metals and so on. None of them were cheap, and gathering it by themselves were also an impossible task. Because many of the materials needed were in secluded area and it was impossible for them to go there on normal times. There were also some materials that only existed in someone's territory. Barging in and got those materials? Unless they wanted to die, they should not do anything like that. Anyway, Ria focused on the task on hand. The gun thing couldn't be improved in a short period of time anymore, so Ria tossed that project to the back. She focused more on making another formation plate that might be suitable for Amelia and Ruby, in case it was necessary. Ria tossed around for a while, busy with various things here and there, but since she spent most of her time in her world, no one noticed her strangeness. She'd just say that she stayed in her room to prepare for their departure and then no one disturb her. A magician was actually someone who meditate for a long time. Well, not really. Some of them were usually busy experimenting. Meditating to practice their mana only needed a few hours each day depending on the meditation technique that they practiced. Once it was done, Ria simply went to prepare herself and then waited for the others' arrival with Amelia. Amelia has been locked down in the Jones family residence in the past 3 days and after brutal battle with Samuel, she would be forced to meditate again and again. In this way, her proficiency got better and better. At the very least, she could last longer when meditating than before. It seems that the effect of training is very good. Ria snickered when she saw Amelia's tired look. It seemed that Amelia was forcing herself to meditate instead of sleeping. Normally, it could replace sleep, but if one was not focused on the meditation for a long period of time, there will still be some trace of fatigue. After all, no one was used to meditate for hours in the beginning. They needed practice. Very good. To the point that I feel like I'm still meditating and visualizing the technique when I'm not practicing, Amelia complained. Ria patted Amelia's shoulder to console the other party. If one removed the smile on Ria's face, then one would definitely trust that she was truly caring for Amelia. Otherwise, it seemed that she was here to laugh at Amelia. Amelia naturally noticed Ria's grin, but she was too lazy to argue with the other party. The practice was really tiring and made her wonder how these two people could last for so long. She didn't see Ria for a long time and knew that the other party was practicing in her room. For how long exactly? Amelia didn't know. She only knew that neither Ria or Samuel were human being by her standard. Of course, she would never say this in front of them. She didn't want to be beaten up. No one came to bother you, right? Ria suddenly asked. If you're talking about Valeria, then no. Amelia thought for a moment and said, it seems that she's bothering Victoria for a long time and I don't know how the two of them are doing right now. They were indeed in the same base. But Amelia didn't have much contact with Victoria either and only helped the other party a bit. After all, the other party was often followed by Valeria, which made the two of them annoyed. Could be said that Valeria is their common enemy. Amelia honestly didn't know how Victoria was able to survive for so long living around Valeria. If it was her, she would have long been driver crazy with such a relative. If she needs help, She'll mention it in our group, Ria said. Amelia nodded in agreement. They still have their chat group, and if there was anything interesting, they would mention it there. Ruby was still sharing some precaution about the magic beasts out there and seemed to be addicted to it. These things could also be accessed in the Martial Arts Association's database, but Ruby would often summarize it to make it easy for them to remember. For Amelia and Sophia, the two of them had to remember it. For the others, they might need it in the future. For Ria, well, she already knew these things by heart because she had experienced the brutal battle against them in the past. Claire is still out there, and I don't know her situation. Amelia shook her head, feeling that it was truly a pity that they couldn't stay together with Claire. Thankfully, they knew that Claire was alive and doing well thanks to their chat group. Ruby was locked down in the research institute, and it seemed that this voluntary. No one could make her willing to go out from her research room. She should be fine. Her tone when chatting before is very cheerful, and her family is not losing out compared to the Jones and the Carson family, Ria said quietly. She could clearly remember that Claire's family background was still very good, much better than the Taylor family or even the Thompson family. It could be said that in their dormitory, aside from her and Ruby who came from ordinary family, the other four were all the descendants of powerful families. As long as they were not behaving stupidly, they should be able to thrive in this era. Just like the Jones family that managed to build a base. And then the Carson family still has a lot of say in City A base. Chapter 404. Preparation 2. Ria was not entirely sure about the exact situation, though. If only they made more trouble, I can also kick them out, Amelia said with a sigh. She really didn't want to see Valeria around in the slightest bit. Unfortunately, it was impossible to just kick them out. Ria looked at Amelia and blinked her eyes. Come to think about it, Sierra came to her not long ago and said something about Mr. Taylor's debt. She did put some cause and effect formation on Mr. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor. As long as they wanted to do something bad, there was a chance that it might be bounced back to them. What did they do to cause such a big debt? But after thinking for a moment, Ria chose not to think about it. Anyway, the formation wouldn't last forever, and once the main mana run out because of too much backlash after they wanted to do something bad, it will dissolve. This should be enough to teach them a lesson. Ria naturally didn't know, but Mr. Taylor did have a lot of bad luck from the moment he was in the business district base. After all, Mr. Taylor is a businessman, and it was only natural that he wanted to become rich. So he tried various means to get ahead from others and get more resources. But for some reasons, his tricks often failed and it nearly killed him. So he had to be more honest. But it didn't take long for him to stop, and then the magic beasts came to the business district base and destroyed it altogether. Mr. Taylor could only escape with his daughter. He couldn't find his wife and son, so he chose to forget about them temporarily. There was no point thinking about them all the time. And now, can't you work better? You're only thinking about. Mr. Taylor is being scolded. In the construction work today, he wanted to take the work that other people did as his own so that he could get more contribution points. But before he could succeed, the supervisor came and saw him lazing around. What followed is naturally a scolding. And Mr. Taylor couldn't really explain what he wanted to do. It's really bad luck. Victoria's sighed. It has been some time since Victoria started training, but her result was not ideal. She couldn't even reach rank 1, and her family members were already banging on her door every single time. This made her had to go out early in the morning to do some work to gather contribution points and then sneaked back when they were not around. Can't they do something else? Victoria felt really tired with her parents and Valeria. The three of them didn't seem to be willing to work and came to trouble her again. Oh, there was a break in between, though. Victoria heard that during the Magic Beast's tide, these people tried to take advantage to get the corpse but caught. So they were put into detention and couldn't come out for a week's time. During that week, they only ate a bowl of porridge and drink water once a day. It made them really hungry and thirsty, but there was basically nothing that they could do about it. No one would care about prisoners. Victoria had a rare peace and wanted to focus on training, but her family members just have to come and pay a visit to her again. This made her wonder what exactly they were doing. They didn't work but come to trouble her all day long. Miss Victoria, can you do something about them? A neighbor asked when Victoria's family members have left. She was dissatisfied with the noise all day long here, but there was not much that they could do. After all, this was only a cheap neighborhood that cost 1 contribution point per day. They also couldn't really do much when the situation out there was not very optimistic. The only thing that they could do was to try and live well. Noisy neighbor was normal. But Victoria's family members are really abnormal. I know, I'll talk with them, Victoria said. She also knew that it was impossible for her to leave this be like this for the rest of her life, unless she wanted them to continue taking advantage of her and made trouble to her. As for how they have so much energy, Victoria didn't know. The neighbor nodded. Well, don't feel pressured. Everyone here lives a hard life and we just hope that it can be a bit more comfortable.
Victoria nodded helplessly.
With that, the neighbor left and Victoria went back inside to practice. She looked at her phone and wondered whether her friends were there and whether she should ask them for help. Victoria knew that if she asked, they might be willing to lend a hand. But this meant that she will owe them. The person whom she has the best relationship with was only Amelia. After all, she didn't spend that much time in the dormitory and often away for various reasons. The other people were not too close and Victoria was not sure how to ask. After a while, she sent a message. Victoria looked at the package that was delivered to her and pursed her lips. This was the meat of a rank 1 magic beast. Originally, Victoria wanted to ask for higher, but Amelia said that her brother told her that people who haven't become a magic warrior couldn't eat the magic beast's meat higher than rank 1. If Victoria had reached rank 1, then Amelia will send her the rank 3 magic beast's meat. But now it's impossible. It seems that there's still rule to prevent people from advancing too fast too. Victoria muttered under her breath as she looked at the magic beast's meat in front of her. Today she will train hard and consume it all. In this way, she will have a chance to advance to rank 1 tomorrow. Chapter 405. Expectation versus reality. The expectation is high, but the reality hit hard. Victoria was depressed when she found out that even after eating a few kilograms of magic beast's meat and training almost all night long, she still failed to advance to rank 1. In the end, she could only stop training and rested for a while before going out to see his mother. Bang! Bang! Early in the morning, the banging started again. Victoria, you be *tch. If you're so capable, bang! The door flung open and Victoria stood there, carrying a kitchen knife. Shall we talk somewhere else, mother? Victoria's mother saw the knife in Victoria's hand and trembled a bit. She knew that her daughter should have worked to be able to get contribution points, but she didn't expect that this would cause her stance to be so tough. In the past, Victoria was willing to listen to her words and would obey her order. But now her wings had become hard. This made Victoria's mother unwilling, so she came to see Victoria under the guise of being a kind mother. Yes. The two of them left and Victoria followed her mother. Looking at the direction where she was going, Victoria frowned when she saw the restaurant. In the past 2 weeks, a few restaurants have been built in City A base. There were some people who have more than enough contribution points and decided that it would be a good idea for them to build restaurant. In this way, these restaurants were born. The businessman and people who used to open restaurants worked together to make this new restaurant here. After all, relying on the few missions in City A base, it would be hard for them to get rich. As for going out to hunt magic beasts, unless they wanted to risk their lives and possibly die in the process, they should not try it. Of course, if they were confident in their strength, that was a different story. But how many of them could confidently say that they could beat up those magic beasts? Do you have enough money to eat here? Victoria asked suspiciously. From what she knew, her family members were really poor. Of course. Victoria's mother snorted and wanted to say harsh words, but upon seeing the knife that Victoria hadn't put down, all the words were swallowed back. She grunted in her heart and felt that her daughter's wings are really hard now. But it didn't matter. She had arranged everything. Did Victoria think that by staying away from her, she wouldn't be able to do anything? Then she would tell her daughter that she's completely wrong. Victoria didn't notice anything and looked around the restaurant. There were not many people there, and when she looked at the menu, she felt that it was not surprising. The prices of the food here were 3 to 10 contribution points. If they could get some food from the canteen at a much cheaper price, why would they come here? Did this restaurant go on high-end route? But how delicious would the food be? Victoria honestly doubted that it would be worth it, because the contribution points in the current time was basically earned by most of them betting their lives. They would not waste it easily just for something delicious, unless the restaurant's owner wanted to target the rich people. But if they wanted to target the rich people, why did he build it in this area? This was still the outskirt and it was located at the edge. There were not many rich people here. Victoria thought about it for a moment before deciding not to think too much. Whatever they decided to do, it was not her business. Victoria's mother walked to the second floor where there were private rooms for dining. She had asked the owner to reserve one for her. "Can't we just stay below?" Victoria asked with a frown. The restaurant was empty anyway, so there was no difference even if they were here.
No.
"I'm your mother and you have to listen to me. Are you sure?" Seeing the knife that was raised again, Victoria's mother froze and then she gritted her teeth. "Do you really want to kill your mother in full view? I'm sure that the law in City A Base prevented you from killing other people here. The law in City A Base clearly stated that they were not allowed to kill others. The only exception was self-defense. But considering the strict law that was still being implemented in this base as if the earthquake had never happened, not many people were willing to challenge the rules. The power of those magic warriors were very clear to them. If they dared to challenge it, the first thing that they had to consider was whether they could survive if the other party attacked them. Not surprisingly, most of their answer would be no, because they really didn't have that confidence. "I think that staying in the jail for a period of time is better than being harassed by you all that time. Besides, I can clearly say that it's self-defense, right?" Victoria said calmly and looked at her mother in front of her. "If you dare to do anything funny, I don't mind raising the knife. You're really heartless. Why did I give birth to such an unfeeling daughter like you? Can't you be like your sister who knows how to be filial to her parents and take care of us?" Victoria looked at her mother quietly. "If you're willing to work honestly, you can still live well, mother." But what Victoria's mother wanted was nothing more than a good life without the need for her to work hard at all. This kind of thing was clearly impossible. "You unfeeling daughter. Mother, what do you actually want to say to me?" Victoria felt that her patience has always been tested when she saw her mother. "Come with me to the second floor." Chapter 406. Cruelty. Bang! There was commotion in the store. Victoria looked at the two people lying in front of her in daze. She looked at the bloody knife in her hand and pursed her lips. "Why do you have to push me so hard, mother?" Victoria whispered in a low voice. She sat there, dazed, not knowing what to do. In the end, Victoria called the police and reported herself. Even though the world had changed and the outside world was nothing short of the word hell, but the base was still controlled under law. And Victoria hated her mother very much. It's just that she didn't expect that things would turn out this way. But staying in prison might be better, because Victoria was sure that her father and Valeria would definitely come forward to trouble her because of this incident today. But with my mother died, at least, I don't have to worry about her bothering me again, right? Victoria murmured under her breath. She felt a string inside her heart was broken. Soon, the police arrived and took her away. Ria didn't know what happened to Victoria. After all, she was not paying that much attention to Amelia's cousin. If there was anyone who knew, it would be their father. Amelia only knew Victoria asked for some magic beast's meat and she sent someone to deliver it. The amount was small and it was not worth mentioning for Amelia. After all, Amelia was eating a large amount of rank 3 magic beast's meat every single day. The amount was staggering, and if it was not because Samuel was the one who hunted them, it was almost impossible for her to be able to eat so much. Amelia is not that capable of hunting these magic beasts. So after sending a few kilograms of magic beast's meat to Victoria, she completely forgot about it. "What are you two doing here?" Samuel is already calling. Stephen saw these two people and felt speechless. Samuel was already waiting for them on the gate, but these two girls were still walking slowly. Well, two girls and a white tiger. The white tiger was following behind Ria, and from the size, Stephen felt that this white tiger had grown again. Magic beasts seemed to grow stronger so quickly. Of course, the main reason why Mo could grow stronger faster was because Ria helped him to provide with a lot of magic beasts' corpses. Those below rank 2 were tossed away, and only rank 2 to rank 3 magic beasts' meat were left. Under such situation, Mo only needed to eat, sleep to digest, and then eat again. How could his improvement not be fast? Now that he was brought out, Ria wanted Mo to adapt to his current strength and kill a few more magic beasts as training. Ah, he's already waiting? Amelia's face changed. Damn, he wouldn't punish her for being slow, right? Hurry, Ria. Ria saw the panicked look on Amelia's face and chuckled. Her brother seemed to have become a big shadow for Amelia. But it was not surprising. With how strict Samuel was to Amelia, Amelia had no other choice but to follow her brother's arrangement from time to time. The two of them soon made their way to the gate and saw Samuel was already there. Behind him was a group of soldiers plus 3 military cars. So many soldiers? Amelia's footsteps slowed down. No matter what, Amelia still felt a bit apprehensive when she saw soldiers, because she didn't know what they wanted to do. In the mission today, we're going to lead the soldiers to enter the crack, Arnold explained as he approached them with a smile. To be exact, Samuel is going to lead everyone and the soldiers, letting them get used to fighting against those magic beasts. Amelia nodded. Ria was also looking at the soldiers curiously. From the aura on their body, she could guess that they were all at least rank 2 magic warriors. The one leading at the front was even a rank 3 magic warrior. It seemed that they should be the elites cultivated by Continent Z. Even though they were nothing much to her, but for most people, they were forces they could not afford to offend in the slightest bit. Brother Arnold will come with us? Amelia asked. Her eyes were shining in excitement. If Arnold also came along, it will be better for her. Arnold showed a kind smile to Amelia and replied, Yes, this will be a good time to train and to let me advance to rank 3. You're already at the peak of rank 2? Amelia asked. Her tone was clearly full of surprise. Samuel gave me intensive training. Arnold felt pain when he thought about it. Being beaten up by Samuel and then had to meditate for a long time. He also ate a lot of magic beast's meat and tried to absorb the mana to raise his own mana cap. Thankfully, Magic Warrior's mana amount was indeed lesser compared to Magician's, which allowed him to reach the peak of rank 2 Magic Warrior quickly. But the resources he consumed, hey, there's no need to say it. If he had to pay it by himself, his wallet would have long burst out. For some reasons, I feel both envious and not. Amelia shuddered when she thought about the training that her brother had given her. Your training can't even be called intensive. Brother is still too kind to you, Sean complained when he saw Amelia's look. It's already very hard. Amelia narrowed her eyes and looked at Sean unkindly. This younger brother of hers was really annoying. You're not the only one training. Your training can't compare with me. Oh yeah? Let's see who among us will advance to rank 3 earlier. Ria wanted to laugh when she heard these two brother and sister started arguing with each other again. But before that, she heard someone calling her. Ria. Chapter 407. Published information. Turning her head, Ria saw Sophia coming with Melly following behind her. Her eyes turned to look at Melly and she arched her eyebrows. It seems that Melly advanced quickly. Did you give her some additional resources? Yes, the Magic Association published some method that could help magic beasts advance faster. What? Ria was stunned and quickly took out her phone to check. The Magic Association's website was open to the public and everyone could see it. She quickly saw a new section about Beastmasters and clicked on it. There were a lot of information there. From how to become a Beastmaster, the method of cultivating the magic beasts, and so on. So complete. Ria was surprised. Yes, my brother said that the Magic Association came to an agreement with Murin to let low-rank Beastmaster advance faster in exchange to their help in gathering these resources. Sophia replied. These resources were not very valuable, but if it was needed in a large scale, it will cost a lot. Not mentioning that the current world was already like this and many valuable resources couldn't be bought even if they have money or contribution points. For the returnees, all they needed to do was to exchange the information that the government needed with the resources they need. It's a win-win. I see. Ria nodded. For these returnees, unless they have a lot of resources on their own and could get it with their own effort, it would be faster for them to advance if they obtained the help of the government and other forces. After all, the resources needed for each profession was different. Ria herself also cooperated with the government through Samuel to get a lot of resources in order to advance quickly. The power of the entire country was definitely not comparable to the power of a single person. And it seemed that other returnees were also thinking the same thing. If they wanted to stay ahead, this was indeed the best choice. Unless they wanted to take the slow and exclusive route where only they knew their paths and method of advancement but failed to get a lot of resources to improve themselves. Some people might want to take it. But seeing these magic beasts got stronger and stronger, Ria guessed that they were getting impatient and chose the best way for them to get stronger quickly. Only by reaching rank 7 would it be possible for them to have the power to control their fate. I can't be left behind. Ria thought about it and then thought about the difficulty of being a Runemaster and fell silent. It seemed that if she really wanted others to follow the same path as her, it would require an extreme talent. Otherwise, it would be better for them to become a magician with side profession of Runemaster. Pure Runemaster will be very hard to find. But these things still cost a lot. Sophia felt the pain of lacking money for the first time in her life. When she was showing her brother the list, he looked at her with complicated look. Because Stephen understood very well that none of these resources were easy to get nor cheap. Well, it's the necessary cost that you have to pay to get stronger. Ria looked at Sophia helplessly. And the stronger you are, the more resources that you will need. Thinking about the large number of magic beasts that Sophia could contract in the future, Ria fell into silence. If Sophia didn't have any other source of income, it was estimated that she wouldn't be able to feed her pets in the slightest bit. And it was impossible for the Carson family to pay for Sophia's cultivation for the rest of their lives. Ria might not come from a rich family, but she still knew about their situation through Amelia more or less. She knew very well that their action of giving fund to Amelia was nothing more investment so that they could get more in the future. So when Sophia was strong enough, it was estimated that the Carson family would start asking her to pay back the investment that they had given her. Sigh. I know. I noticed it too, Sophia replied with a sigh. I will have to find other jobs and collect more magic beasts' corpses for their food. Thankfully, I can trade these corpses with the ones suitable for my magic beasts in the base. In order to promote better development for her magic beasts, it was advised to feed them with the magic beast's meat of the same elements. Hunting specific element of magic beast was not easy. What she could do was to trade them in the base. Anyway, as long as the weight was similar and the magic beasts didn't have any other use plus their rank was the same, the trade was free. As for the so-called other use was some of their body parts that the base specifically collected. The list had been given out and will be updated daily so that people who managed to hunt them could get higher price. Ria had seen them, but she was not very interested because she didn't lack contribution points in the slightest bit. In fact, she has abundance of contribution points that she didn't know what to use them for. That's good. Ria nodded. Sophia nodded and grinned. I might have to go out often in the future. The best profession to earn money right now is to hunt magic beasts and use their body parts for various uses. Unfortunately, some magic beasts couldn't be eaten. Ria's lips twitched. Thinking about some special magic beasts which appearance was very disgusting, Ria was glad that they couldn't be eaten, because she felt that she would have physiological shadow if she had to eat them. Let's not talk about that. You should be glad that you can't eat all of them, Ria said in a low voice. Sophia looked at Ria in confusion. Chapter 408. Profession. Ria only gave a smile to Sophia without explaining it any further. Is there any profession distinction now? Well, yes. Speaking about profession, the official website gave brief introduction of all the profession that we can learn, including the name of the spells. But aside from the very basic meditation technique and some must-have spell like the purification magic spell, the rest was nothing more than introduction. The details could only be learned by joining specific organization. The magicians and beast tamers were obvious. They have to join the Magic Association and contribute to learn the subsequent path. Warriors have to join the Martial Arts Association. Magic warriors can be done by joining either the government or the Martial Arts Association, but joining the government allows you to learn the specialization to become a hunter. A hunter? Ria was confused. Yes, it said that a hunter is a magic warrior, but you specialize in long-distance attack with the weapon can be bow or arrows. Amelia was actually quite surprised when she saw someone was still using bow and arrow. In the age of hot weapons, there were still people who were willing to use these weapons. But while Amelia was confused, the hunter. Ria now remembered these people. Some people who became magic warriors didn't like close combat. Rather than staying close to their opponents, they prefer to stay far away and attack with arrows, or other weapons that they could use. If Ria had to say about their variety, it should be some canon like tools, spears, and many others. These people have many weapons that they could pick from to attack from the distance accordance to their preferences. Though the favorite was definitely bow and arrows. Speaking of which, there's no guns in that world. Now that Ria thought about it, it was a bit strange that there was no guns. But at the same time, it was not that weird since most people were completely relying on magic as their weapon. Many magic was much stronger than guns, so why do they need one? But for warriors and magic warriors, these weapons were useful to increase their combat effectiveness to a certain degree. Anyway, these people who used long-ranged weapons and were magic warriors were usually called as hunters. There were even some geniuses in this field. Ria guessed that a returnee should be a hunter, but she didn't know who it is since she didn't have access to their information. Are there no auxiliary professions information? Ria asked curiously. The government said that you can do a trial to learn some basic runes, but they didn't have the systematic training and the path is incomplete. Amelia chuckled when she thought about this. It should be the formation that Ria handed over some time ago that the government wished to promote. Unfortunately, there were not many people who have the talent to learn runes and formation. The auxiliary profession has always been restricted by talent. Ria nodded in understanding. Did they reveal the names or anything like that? Name? There's an introduction for the pioneer of the warrior's path in the Martial Arts Association, which is Peter. But the others didn't give any introduction whatsoever, Amelia replied. This meant that the other might not give any permission for others to let them use their identity. Or they simply didn't want to publish their identity. After all, some people prefer to be low-key rather than being known by the whole world. Ria felt a bit relieved when she heard it. It seemed that the government was still somewhat reliable and would not publish their information unless they were willing to do so. As for Peter, that man liked the attention and Ria didn't care about his decision. Even if he wanted to have his picture hung in the forum, she would just ignore it. I learned some things that are made public by the Magic Association, but there's not much information. I hope that they can actually reveal more so that I can grow more as a beast master, but it seems that they want to control the information spread. Sophia scratched the back of her head in embarrassment. She actually hoped that she could learn more, but the Magic Association limited the information that they gave to them. So Sophia felt disappointed. At the same time, she also understood that it was impossible for her to learn without joining the Magic Association. This kind of tactic of holding the core information was normal, so no one was surprised. After all, not everyone wanted to share their knowledge to the entire world for free. Why don't you join the Magic Association? No! Sophia shook her head repeatedly. Don't you know that there are a few more videos of these old men and old women dancing in the forum? The views are so spicy that I don't know what to say. Ria! The others shook their head and decided not to visit the forum for the time being. They still cared for their eyes a lot. Did they even dress strangely? Ria asked in confusion. Well, there's an old woman who chose a bikini when casting magic for some reason, and there's also a man in dress. Sophia was bored and browsed these, but she felt instant regret when she saw it. She didn't really want to see these. Ria! For some reasons, she had the feeling that the magicians were going towards a road of no return. Forget it. Ria chose not to think about it anymore. Get into the car. Samuel called out when he saw they all gathered. And Rhea, come with me to the jeep. Rhea arched her eyebrows and saw that the leading military who was at the rank 3 also followed Samuel to the jeep. It seemed that they should have something to talk with her. Well, she had no other choice but to follow. She hoped that the government had no intention of forcing her to do anything. Chapter 409. Major General Leon. Under Samuel's order, everyone entered the car and the car soon started. Their designation was clear. It was the warehouse area where the magic beast's nest that Rhea found was located. They didn't know the species, but based on Rhea's speculation, it should be insect-type magic beasts, and their size might not be so friendly. Senior Samuel, why do you call me here? Rhea asked carefully after they had seated in the jeep. This is Major General Leon, and he's here to talk with you on behalf of the government and military. Samuel introduced the man beside him. He paused for a moment and then said, You don't have to worry. Your identity is still kept a secret and only a handful of people know about it. They didn't have any intention of spreading it out if you don't wish for it. Even though the officials were really annoying and Samuel also had a hard time dealing with them in the past, some of them were not that bad and knew how to deal with people well. Right now, there were 2 factions in the government and Samuel was really lazy to take care of them. The good thing is that he only interacted with Mr. A and refused to talk with other people, because they would only make him feel annoyed. Even if the world was already facing terrible situation, they were still thinking about their private profit and so on. It was as if they couldn't wait to take all the wealth of the world into their pocket and enjoyed it by themselves. It was disgusting. The only good thing was that there were still people who worked well in the government and arranged for the military to rescue people. Otherwise, there would be no way these official bases could be built. There were still some private bases, but that is not the point. Mr. A was one of the few people whom Samuel had known before the earthquake happened. He knew that he could trust the other party to a certain degree. As long as he didn't touch Mr. A's interest, the man was too lazy to care for him and was thinking about Continent Z as a whole. It was also because of this that Samuel was willing to let Mr. A be the one to negotiate. Even though the other party was also a fox that was hard to cheat. TSK. Samuel tossed the thoughts away and focused on the present time. General Leon. Rhea quickly greeted apprehensively. Welp. She seemed to have seen a big shot right now and for a moment felt nervous. Rhea had never been used to stay in high position. Don't be so polite, Miss Rhea. Major General Leon gave a reassuring smile. I'm here to ask whether it's possible for us to spread the information about the runes and possibly the methods to learn them. We don't ask for much and only the basic. The government knew very well that the knowledge these returnees brought were the most important thing. But at the same time, they also knew that it was impossible for them to share all of the information they have. So what the government valued was whether the basic could be shared. For the main paths such as warrior, magic warriors, and magicians, what the government wanted was the stable path to a high position. They were willing to pay high price to be able to get it. But for an auxiliary profession like Rhea, they only needed the basic. Because it was unlikely for many people to learn this profession, and those who did might end up stopping at the beginning. Of course, if it was possible for them to get the entire information, it would be much better. But they knew how unrealistic this is. These returnees would not be willing to let their secret technique and methods be spread out to everyone without limit. After all, many of them had to sacrifice a lot in order to get these. Everyone had their own selfishness, and Major General Leon understood that very well. So their bottom line was to get the basic methods for these auxiliary profession to help them in the future. They had seen the effectiveness of these side professions. One of them was the alchemist in the other continent. Just one person could create a lot of medicine that could allow many magicians and magic warrior become powerful, even if it was only for a short period of time. And Rhea's talisman that she had given to them had made many people feel the usefulness of it. The most important thing is that the space storage scroll allowed them to take a lot of things when they were traveling. Rhea had already taught her disciple how to make it, but their skills were a bit, well, it was hard to say. Ordinary talisman and magic scrolls were fine because as long as their magic was enough, they could practice. But space storage scroll seemed to contain some space laws that make it difficult for them to make. In any case, Learning these things would only benefit them more. There are already 4 magic scrolls that I'm sure you brought from Senior Samuel. If you were to retrace the runes, you can also learn it, Rhea said slowly. She was not lying. The first step for Runemaster to learn how to draw was to retrace and copy the existing runes. Of course, memorization should also be done, but that was a different matter altogether. They could memorize and practice at the same time too. Well, this also depends on their talent. But for Rhea, it was very easy. I don't think it's that simple. Major General Leon looked at Rhea carefully. If it's so easy to learn runes, how could the word talent block so many people's path? I'm more inclined to believe that there's a set of sequence to make the runes in the first place. Chapter 410, Talent. Rhea nodded to herself in her heart. It seemed that this General Leon was really sharp. If it was so easy to learn the runes, how could so many people could not learn it without teachers? This was because there were many information that was specifically controlled by the major power. The people at the bottom had no chance to come into contact with the runes, so they didn't know the real difficulty. Major General Leon is right. To learn the runes and formation, you need to follow a set of sequence. I believe you should know this from the formation that I sent in the beginning, because in her explanation, Rhea also told them the route that they had to follow when making the runes. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the runes to succeed. Just like drawing a specific drawing, they would start from the background and then others. There were lines that they had to draw first when drawing a rune, otherwise, the result would be completely different or even a complete failure altogether. Yes, Major General Leon admitted calmly. There was nothing to hide from this matter. So we would like to ask whether you can also give the information in accordance so that people could learn. In exchange, you can ask for something from us. Rhea thought for a moment. This could be said to be expanding the Runemaster path to many people. To be honest, a Runemaster's method was very varied and she could use thousands of different combinations of runes and formations. As long as you are creative enough, Runemaster basically had an unlimited path ahead of them. And it was impossible for Rhea to write down all the knowledge that she knew. Would you like the detailed explanation of each runes, or would you like the general knowledge? Rhea thought and asked. There's a difference between these two. Major General Leon frowned and then asked, May I ask you to elaborate, Miss Rhea? As you have known, every runes are unique and the difference even with a dot can change the entire meaning of the runes. There's even the set of ratio for every rune that one had to follow, otherwise it wouldn't work. Rhea smiled helplessly. To be honest, when she first encountered runes, she also felt that whoever made it was crazy. How do they calculate the distance of the runes they draw? But when she practiced, she realized that it was not that they calculated. It was simply engraved into their body. How long the lines, how to draw the circle, how to connect the runes, everything was drilled into their bodies through rigorous practice. There was no shortcut. And Rhea found it easier to do because she instinctively felt that it should be like this or like that, and in the end, she managed to draw the runes easily. It was as if her body had already known the answer without the need of her training rigorously to make her body remember. To be honest, there are thousands of runes and the detailed explanations for each of them will be very tedious. Rhea continued slowly and lowered her eyes. I don't think that normal people without talent would be able to memorize them. Major General Leon's lips twitched. Thousands of runes, each with their own rules. He felt that it was not an exaggeration to say that Runemaster was really dependent on talent. If one didn't have any talent, just memorizing these things alone would be more than enough to make them doubt life. This is why I don't want to learn it in the first place. Samuel shook his head on the back. He could remember the side profession test that his parents gave to him in that world. When seeing so many dense runes and their specific detailed rules, he felt as if he was facing a big enemy and racked his brains to memorize them. It was so hard that he almost collapsed. Thankfully, it was quickly determined that he didn't have any talent, as Runemaster or Samuel felt that he would be dying. Do you think it's necessary for everyone to learn to the extreme details? Major General Leon chose to throw this question back to Rhea. He felt that Rhea should know better than anyone.
No.
There are only a handful of runes that you commonly use, Rhea replied calmly. And unless you plan to delve deeply into the study or runes or follow the path of a rune master until the very end, it's not necessary to memorize all of them. When speaking about this matter, Rhea paused for a moment. She still remembered what the teacher taught her and the other students when they first came into contact with runes. Those without talent could only rely on hard work, forcing their bodies to memorize all the sets of the runes into their body, forcefully engraving it so that they would remember by heart and will not make a mistake. Those with talent will be able to instinctively correct themselves with little pointers and will proceed ahead, far earlier than others. She could remember the sad look on the teacher's face at that time when he said about these things, because he knew very well that the introduction process alone would definitely eliminate more than 90% of the students there. If they had no talent, persevering in this path would do nothing but to bring burden on their body. Not to mention, becoming a rune master is not easy. Without sufficient financial resources, they would not be able to recoup the losses if they were to make a mistake in the training process and wasted resources. Talent is really unreasonable. It allowed people to spend less effort doing something that otherwise will take others years to learn. But it's precisely because of talent that there are people who could reach the peak and shine in the field they excelled at. Chapter 4:11. In that case, so it's very important for one to understand their talent. Rhea smiled faintly at Major General Leon. I don't have time to make the detailed explanations for every runes either. It would take hundred thousands of pages, and I don't want to waste my time writing such thing during this period of time. Perhaps in the future, Rhea would have time to sit down and relax, writing the book about runes and all. But right now, Rhea knew that it was impossible. She has dreams to pursue and she wanted to become stronger. Even if the path of Runemaster was not a conventional path that other people will take, but this is the path that suited her the most. So she will continue to stick on this path. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how many obstacles on the way, she would not give up on her dream to reach the top. This is the dream of everyone in that world. To follow the path that suited them the most and allow them to see the view of the world from the very top. What they saw, Rhea didn't know, but she will find out when she reached that step. Major General Leon looked at Rhea in front of him. For a moment, he felt that the girl in front of him looked very different, as if she had seen the vicissitudes of life and experienced many things. Thus, she was able to see through it. He closed his eyes for a moment and smiled. It seems that if I were to ask for the detailed ones, you would have to refuse? Rhea didn't answer and simply looked at Major General Leon in front of her. She knew very well that her words might sound unreasonable. Yet at the same time, she knew very well that she could not possibly give it up just for the sake of helping others. She has her own stubbornness. I guess the general method should be enough. Does this mean that what you can teach us about the use of runes in general? Not only in general. Rhea shook her head and thought for a moment. All I can do is to help you know the common runes and the rules when using them. Because if you're not careful enough, there might be accident.
Accident?
Major General Leon looked at Rhea and asked, what kind of accident? The small accidents would be nothing happened and only wasting resources. The big incident is that you will activate the formation or runes that are wrong. If you want me to give examples, it'll be the simple runes of killing and runes of restraint. Look at the two runes carefully. Rhea took out a pen and paper as she started drawing the runes on top of the paper. Without the mana within the runes, there was no way the runes would be activated, so Rhea was not worried. This rune is commonly used when making killing formation, while this one is to make restraint formation. Their difference is only in this one small stroke, so if you're not careful enough. Rhea didn't continue, but this was enough to let Major General Leon understood why rune study was really difficult. And beads of sweat poured on Major General Leon's forehead. It seemed those who learned runes had to be a meticulous person. And there are dozens of similar runes, Samuel added in his mind when he saw Major General Leon's expression. But he would not say it, lest it would destroy Major General Leon's confidence. I understand. It's not that easy to learn runes. Major General Leon nodded. In the general knowledge you mentioned, you will also write about the precaution? Yes. Rhea nodded. It existed in the book that she had given to her disciple before. She only needed to let the jade dolls copy more books. Cough. She had no time to copy, but her jade dolls could work 24 hours a day. Jade dolls. Our master is a profiteer. In that case, can I request for your teaching of these? Or perhaps it'll be in the form of text that could be spread out. Major General Leon asked. Even if it's dangerous, if it could be used properly, the benefit outweighs the disadvantage. Before I answer, can I ask why you valued the magic scrolls so much? Ria asked carefully. If they were only interested because they saw it useful at this stage and nothing else, she could understand. But if they could know the true value of these runes. Because we believed that formation and runes have a great use. Even in a long rune. The magic scrolls can be used to protect the ordinary people and the people who have only walked into the path of magic warriors and so on. Major General Leon paused and looked at Ria with apprehension. Besides, we believed that at higher rank, you should have methods that are capable of destroying cities or even protecting cities. This was their analysis after seeing the power brought by these returnees. Even though what Ria had shown so far was nothing more than low-ranked magic scrolls and talisman that seemed to only help to reduce their difficulty in the early stage. Some people felt that it was not all. The battle that Samuel and Peter showed had already given them some clues. Moreover, after Ria made a move in that crack, they could see that a Runemaster is also very powerful. She could even use the runes and formation to attack a magic beasts of rank 4 and killed it easily. Of course, they didn't know whether it consumed a lot of mana or not. But that had given them some directions. Now that Ria taught them the precautions of the runes, Major General Leon believed in this conviction even more. There was no way runes would not be very powerful in the latter stage. As for whether they could reach that stage or not, that was another question altogether. Ria blinked her eyes. In that case, Chapter 412, Agreement. Amelia and the others were located in different cars, chatting and laughing while waiting for the car to arrive. The one driving this time was a driver from the military, so it was very stable and safe. Moreover, not many magic beasts were present around here. Countless rounds of cleaning from the military and also the people who were eager to get more resources from Cydia base had made the population of magic beasts suffer a lot. Are we going to follow the military later? Amelia asked curiously. She has never followed the military before and felt that it would be very interesting. Of course, she also knew that they were not only there to watch but also to fight the magic beasts. Samuel would definitely want to see the result of their training in this trip. Yes, Arnold nodded. Samuel didn't have time to personally guide us this time because he had to open up the path. Amelia nodded. To be honest, she had expected that this day would happen sooner or later. With her brother's capability, he would be pushed to the forefront and shoulder heavy responsibility. The days when Samuel was training them couldn't be said to be pleasant because they felt that they were being tortured. But after they came here and hear this, they somehow felt that it would be better to follow Samuel. Because they knew that this is actually a privilege. Too bad. It'll be fine. We just have to work harder to catch up. Yes. At this moment, the determination to grow stronger was instilled deeper into their heart. They didn't want to lag behind forever. On the other side, Ria played with the gun in her hand. She agreed with the government and gave a book that contained 10 different rank 1 magic scrolls and 10 unranked magic scrolls that ordinary people could use. The first 10 needed mana to activate it and the last 10 didn't need mana to activate. The book itself also contained the description about how to draw it and the precaution that they needed to take when making it. After all, drawing with mana and without mana would be different. If their mana was unstable, incorrectly drawing the runes could be fatal. There was no need for Ria to explain this matter as Samuel also agreed deeply. In his words, he had seen someone who accidentally draw the wrong runes and got himself blown up. Major General Leon felt that the runes were really dangerous afterwards. But they still need it. If they could train people who could use the runes and draw a lot of magic scroll for them, the benefit far outweigh the risk. In exchange, she got this gun. Energy gun. I didn't expect that Continent Z can also get it, Ria said with emotion. She knew very well that their continent's technology was not the most advanced in the Green Planet. The other continent also wouldn't let them gain advantage so easily. After all, every continent wished that they were the best. So how could they be willing to let Continent Z ahead? This weapon too. If Ria was not wrong, the energy gun came from Continent Y and had been kept in secret by them. They didn't have any plan to sell it to other continents unless they paid a high price. It's not that easy to get these two guns. Major General Leon looked at Ria helplessly. He felt that the higher-ups have vision and asked him to bring more guns this time. Aside from the few that was intended to be given to Samuel as the agreement before, the rest were used to negotiate with Ria. Since Ria asked for weapons blueprint last time, they have known that Ria should be interested in their weapons. Perhaps it was to modify them? After all, she's a Runemaster, and it was not surprising to hear her modifying the guns to suit her better. I can see that, Ria murmured as she looked at the gun in her hand. This was only the initial transaction between them, as Ria could guess that the government would definitely come to her to ask for more runes or even higher-ranked magic scrolls. The one she gave to them were only rank 1. And it might be useful for the people at the bottom to increase their survival chance. But for those who had become magic warriors, especially rank 2 and above, the effectiveness of these magic scrolls were limited. It would not be worth the price they bought it. Ria rubbed the gun and started thinking about the modification that she wanted to make. Ever since she managed to modify that gun, she has already started thinking about other variety. But her knowledge of guns were limited, so what she could think of might not be very good. Now that she managed to get her hand on an energy gun, Ria felt that she might be able to study it and probably replicate it one way or another. Not just replicate, but also to modify it to use mana instead of electricity. But it's worth it. Major General Leon had already sent people to deliver the information that Ria gave to him. He also sent a digital copy through the encryption to the higher-ups in the capital city. It could be said that his mission this time has been half completed successfully. The higher-ups were excited when they heard that they could learn more magic scrolls and runes from Ria. The knowledge reserve that they obtained from these returnees were increasing day by day. And someday these knowledge could be used as foundation for the future. Ria nodded. Thank you. This is still within my authority. Besides, I don't think that this energy gun could harm you, Major General Leon replied helplessly. To be honest, the ordinary weapons that existed before the appearance of mana and all didn't seem to be of much use when facing these returnees. Chapter 413 Gun. Because each and every single one of these returnees were simply unreasonably powerful in their fields. It was to the point that Major General Leon felt that each of them had a cheating device in their hand. Afterwards, they could only sigh. The reasons why any of these people could be chosen was inseparable from their unique talent. It was something that other people didn't have, and there was no point in getting jealous. There shouldn't be anyone who would be sent out for an experience package in that world anymore. And even though these returnees were powerful, they also have their limit. For example, the limit of their knowledge and resources. The path that they had known would not necessarily lead to the peak, as they had known from Peter that they didn't reach the strongest when they died in that world. Instead, they had only reached a slightly higher rank. To reach the strongest, there was still a long path. But this deep knowledge reserve was more than enough for them to throw away other people in the green planet far away. Peter was willing to share many things because he could get a lot of benefit from the Martial Arts Association. But aside from some common knowledge about that world, what Peter knew were basically useless for them. Because Peter is a pure warrior. He didn't even know proper magic spells. Thinking about the last magic spell that he shared, many people had facepalmed when they talked about. It was really embarrassing. If not for Ria and then Ruth telling them about the simple purification magic spell, they would have to use that embarrassing magic spell for the rest of their lives. In this way, it was clear that each of these returnees have their own advantage and disadvantage. At the same time, they had their own limitation of their knowledge and could still be considered a normal human being. Cough. At a certain point, some people couldn't really think of them as the same human being as them because of their abilities. Major General Leon sighed. Then again, it was also because of their abilities that he didn't think they would need this kind of gun to enhance their fighting power. He was more inclined to believe that it was for other purpose or for other people around them. Ria rubbed her nose. Major General Leon was more or less right in this case. Well, if she has no mana and all of her formation has run out, this gun could hurt her. Otherwise, it was simply impossible. The automatic protective formation she had set up for herself was not for nothing, all right? Do you plan to modify it? Samuel had put away the gun and intended to give one to Arnold and the other one to Stephen. Arnold was for the sake of self-protection while Stephen needed a gun more, and the ordinary gun was not very useful for higher-ranked magic beast. An energy gun was still more effective. For himself, using a sword was more effective and easier. He did learn how to use gun, but Samuel didn't have much interest in it. In the past, these firearms could still excite him a bit. But after experiencing that world and trained in the way of sword, Samuel lost interest in these guns. The slightly more powerful ones could be given to his father and then used by the base. But otherwise, he didn't have much interest in it. Yes, Ria replied, and then she took out a gun and handed it over to Samuel. Just check it out. Samuel arched his eyebrows and looked at the gun in his hand. The gun didn't look any different from ordinary gun, but he could faintly see some runes marking on the handle. It was just that the markings were concealed nicely, and if they didn't pay close attention, they would never be able to notice it. Did you succeed? Samuel was surprised. Ria nodded. She scrapped more than 100 guns in her world to make this one. Once she had made a stable one that could last for 1,000 rounds as long as the gun was taken care, she stopped improving it. Because Ria was sure that with her capabilities, this was already the limit. If there were any weapon master, then they might be able to help designing some other kinds of guns, but this was already the best that she could make. As for the scrapped guns, she let the world recycle them. It would be a waste otherwise. Even though it was indeed quite a waste to use these materials to be converted into mana directly, but Ria didn't have other use of it. Since she had such a good recycle tool, she had to use it to the fullest. What's the difference? Samuel asked. I added fire and lightning elements to the shoot, so if you shoot it, it'll also cause an explosion, Ria replied.
En explosion?
Both Major General Leon and Samuel instantly felt that this was not an ordinary handgun but a handgun that was very powerful. I'll try it. Feel free. Your shooting skills should be better than me. Thinking about the recoil from the handgun after modification, Ria felt that her hand hurt. Even though her body has been strengthened, but testing modified gun over and over again was still not very good. One more thing. Be prepared for the recoil. Don't worry. Samuel chuckled when he heard Ria's reminder. For him, who's already a rank 5 magic warrior, this small recoil was nothing. Even before he became a magic warrior, he could already shoot a gun stably. With that, Samuel looked outside and saw a few scattered magic beasts around. There were not many magic beasts in this area, but it didn't mean that there were none at all. Soon, he locked onto a rank 2 magic beasts in the distance and aimed the gun in his hand. He waited until they were closer and then... Bang! Chapter 414, Blueprint Exchange. The gunshot was really loud, and then the bullet traveled towards the rank 2 magic beasts. The next moment, they saw the rank 2 magic beasts was hit and an explosion sounded, followed by the crackling of lightning as the rank 2 magic beasts fell down. It was still alive, but it was roasted and its body was twitching badly. If the magic beast was not lucky enough to be saved by other magic beast, it was estimated that it would die a miserable death in the next few minutes. It's really powerful, Samuel commented. That's a rank 2 magic beasts. If this weapon could be promoted... Samuel looked at Ria with amazement. I'm afraid that many magic warriors will come to ask you for weapon if they were to know about this. Ria's lips twitched and she quickly shook her head. No, don't promote it. Making this one gun was already difficult enough for her. Do you have the blueprint? Major General Leon suddenly asked. When he saw the power of the handgun in Ria's hand, he knew that it was no less powerful than the energy gun. No, in terms of raw power, the energy gun was still higher, but this handgun has the stun effect. Moreover, they didn't have to waste a lot of energy blocks to charge the gun, which was much more cost-effective than an energy gun. So, Major General Leon felt that he had to get this gun. Ria! She looked at the energy gun in her hand in confusion and asked Major General Leon, "Isn't the energy gun more powerful than this? I heard that it can insta-kill a rank 2 magic beast." This was what Samuel said just now, and the main reason why he wanted the energy gun. Could give extra protection for his teammates. As for him, he didn't need it. In terms of power, it's indeed more powerful, but it's also expensive, Major General Leon replied. This is not the type of weapon that can be mass-produced for many people. The people who came this time also carried the energy gun. This was because these people were the elites in Continent Z and also the team that the government wanted to cultivate and promote. So they could get it. But other teams? It was impossible. The cost to make the energy gun was really high. No, even the ammunition was really expensive. Right? You didn't even need a bullet with this handgun, Ria murmured in a low voice as she looked at the handgun that she had modified. No bullet. Samuel was stunned. He thought that the gun was already loaded with gun by Ria. No, there's no need to put any bullet, but you need to put magic core to power up the formation. Moreover, you can't use it more than 1,000 times because the formation will be wear off at that time. Don't worry, I have put a set of protection so that when it could no longer work, it'll be just like an ordinary gun that you can only click. Samuel's lips twitched. What click? But he understood what Ria wanted to say. She set up protection mechanism when modifying the gun so that it would not harm the person who used it. This might be aimed towards herself too. After all, the power of an explosion caused by these formation could injure her. This is really good. Major General Leon was even more determined to get it. You can quote the price, Miss Ria. I'm sure that the military can make the best use of this gun. Ria, I can sell you the blueprint, but can you give me the blueprint for this energy gun? Ria asked as she pointed to the energy gun in her hand. I want to see how it could produce such a powerful energy when shooting. No problem. Exchanging blueprint for blueprint, Major General Leon felt that it was a very good deal. Samuel glanced sideways at Major General Leon, who said that it's a state secret, who told him that it's not allowed to be traded to other people, who swore to him that it's difficult and couldn't possibly be done. What a load of nonsense. Major General Leon showed with his action that it was not like it was impossible for them to give them the magic scroll, but they have to give enough benefit first. Look, Ria was able to successfully exchange for the energy gun's blueprint. While him, well, forget it. Samuel also knew that he had no ability to modify weapons, and even if he were to ask for the blueprint, it was mostly to ask his father to make it for the people in their base. How could it be like Ria who wanted to modify it to suit herself? The energy gun itself was already very powerful. How powerful would it be after Ria modify it? Samuel didn't know, but he had the faint feeling that it would be more powerful than it is now. There was even possibility of killing rank 3 magic beasts instantly. For some reasons, Samuel started to feel that he's really useless. Aside from killing with his swords, he didn't seem to have any other skills. That's great. Ria smiled brightly. It's a pleasure working with you, Major General Leon. It's a pleasure working with you too, Miss Ria. Major General Leon was also very happy and shook hands with Ria. He was sure that if the higher-ups knew about his decision, they would be very happy, because they could manufacture and made these weapons themselves. Now, he had to urge them to train the Runemasters more strictly and quickly, because if their rank was too low, it would be impossible for them to make the handgun's modification runes and formation. Oh right. How many magic beasts cores do you need for this handgun? 2 fire and lightning, Ria replied, and it will last until the end of the handgun service. In other words, they only needed 2 magic beasts cores to hunt 1,000 more. What a bargain. Chapter 4:15. Arrival. The 2 people smiled happily. Only Samuel looked at them enviously and sighed deeply. Amidst this hearty negotiation, they finally arrived at the warehouse location. There were a few magic beasts around, but they were cleaned up by Major General Leon by using the new handgun that he received from Ria. She said that this was a sample that she could give out. Anyway, she still has a few more that she made in her world, and there were many parts that she hadn't modified yet. If she wanted to, she could spend some time to make them and then use it when necessary. The other soldiers were looking in Major General Leon's direction in surprise. They looked at the weapon in his hand and wondered whether there were any new weapon developed by the Research Institute. The effect this time is really cool. Wow! The others who saw it were also attracted by the gun's performance. These rank 2 magic beasts. In the past, it would take a lot of effort to kill. But now, Major General Leon only needed 1 to 2 shots to kill them. It was really awesome. This gun is really easy to use. Major General Leon was very satisfied with the gun's performance that Rhea gave to him as the sample. He was definitely not only satisfying his desire to use a new gun but to test it and give report to the higher-ups. I feel that the recoil is a bit big though. Rhea looked at Major General Leon. Then again, Rhea had never used gun in the past, so she was not very familiar with the weapon recoil. If it was not because her body, she had to shoot countless times. Thanks to that, her marksmanship had increased. It didn't seem to be a bad thing? Welp, Rhea felt that she didn't really want to train her marksmanship, though. This is the standard recoil. Major General Leon laughed. Well, compared to ordinary gun, the impact is indeed a bit bigger, but it's still within one's range of tolerance. Normal guns also have recoil, Miss Rhea. Is that so? Rhea listened to Major General Leon giving her popular science and nodding her head. This meant it was her own body that was too weak. When Rhea thought about this, she was silent. It seemed that she had to figure out a way to strengthen her body, or the great imbalance between her mana and her body might pose a trouble for her in the future. I have already made the runes in my heart that will allow me to strengthen my body. Is it really not enough? She couldn't overdo it. Because if she forcefully made her body stronger without caring about her own growth, she would only harm herself. And Rhea couldn't do anything like that. For one who wanted to reach the peak, they had to pay attention to their own growth and not cut off their path early because of their foolish mistake. A magician lives for a long time and they have time to ponder for their future path slowly but surely. If you're not a magic warrior, that recoil alone can kill you, Samuel said from the side. Ordinary people definitely can't use that gun. He felt that Major General Leon was fooling Rhea. He himself had tried the gun and could sense that the recoil was harder than normal handgun. No wonder that the gun wouldn't last long. But perhaps aside from the material's limitation, there was also some limitation with the runes. Samuel himself was not sure about it. Why do you have to destroy my platform? Major General Leon looked at Samuel speechlessly and then nodded. But it's true that not everyone will be able to use it. Besides, I don't think that making it is easy. Right? You need a real rune master to make it, Rhea replied. And after you're done with drawing the runes and assembling the gun, you have to do testing for it to determine whether the runes have been set correctly. If you don't set it correctly, there's a risk that it'll explode when you click the trigger. Major General Leon nodded. After they agreed to exchange the blueprint, Rhea took her time drawing it while Major General Leon contacted the higher-ups to ask for the energy gun's blueprint. They exchanged it and then asked some questions. Rhea asked about the energy guns and Major General Leon asked about the runes that Rhea used. She also kindly gave the detailed runes drawing for each part that they had to draw along with the precaution. But it was still necessary to train a qualified rune master first before they could make it. Otherwise, they would only risk killing themselves because of failed runes. Haven't you trained rune masters before? Samuel asked. He heard from Mr. A that the government had already trained some people in the path of rune masters. They specifically collected the tainted people and fund them to practice and make the cool talisman and others for practice. By now, these rune masters should be quite talented. There are indeed some rune masters in our hands, but I don't think they're capable enough yet, Major General Leon replied calmly. There was nothing to hide about this. They did train some rune masters, and it was also because of this that they wanted to exchange more rune masters' knowledge from Rhea. Otherwise, the rune master they trained could only make those simple runes. It would be too wasteful. You don't need powerful rune masters to draw these runes. Rhea shook her head. All of the runes I used are basic. Samuel silently recalled the drawing and fell silent. Major General Leon still has a copy of the formation in his hand, and he also fell silent. The difference in talent. could be a bit infuriating at times. Chapter 416. Arrival 2. Then I hope that they can replicate this gun as soon as possible. Major General Leon chuckled and then continued to aim at the magic beasts outside. From the way it looked like, he still hadn't had enough. The cleaning up will be done soon, and then these magic beasts' corpses can be taken back. But this gun is quite destructive. Samuel looked at the charred corpses thoughtfully. I think that your move is even more destructive, Rhea said quietly. She had seen Samuel's move, and if she was not wrong, he was even worse than this. Samuel blinked his eyes innocently. He had just remembered that his own attack was very destructive, but he didn't want to admit it. Rhea saw Samuel's look and chuckled. Who are you pretending to be innocent to? I have seen your move clearly, Senior Samuel. Samuel laughed lightly at Rhea's words. Bang! 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 After killing the last magic beasts, Major General Leon stopped firing the gun. The logistic team will pack them up and send them back as fast as possible. Major General Leon gave order and then looked at Samuel. The team who will go into the nest will be under your care, Mr. Samuel. Yes. Samuel nodded solemnly. Major General Leon will come too, but he had to command the soldiers. Samuel will have to lead the way and made sure that the path they were about to go to is safe. Otherwise, he would be risking the life of so many soldiers behind him. Rhea listened behind them and looked at these soldiers. She pursed her lips. If she had prepared more handgun, she could give it to them. Unfortunately, she didn't have so many guns. In the end, Rhea handed a stack of magic scrolls to Samuel and then head over to Amelia and the others. She planned to give some guns to the other party and their team so that they could kill more magic beasts when necessary. This girl. Samuel was helpless when he saw the stack of magic scrolls in his hand, but there was a smile on his face. He looked at Major General Leon and said, These are a stack of magic scrolls. I don't think the number is enough for each soldiers to have a lot of them, so you need to arrange them appropriately. Thank you very much. Major General Leon felt touched and relieved at the same time. With these, their journey would be much safer. He felt grateful to these two people. In the meantime, Rhea handed a handgun to Amelia and Sophia, one each. The two girls cheered happily and the guys could only look at these two people enviously. Why didn't they have such a good and capable friend? But they also wouldn't be so shameless to ask Samuel for such a good gun. They knew that it was not their friend's obligation to equip them with weapons, and this was Rhea's own initiative. How did you make such a gun? Amelia asked with amazement. She had seen Major General Leon tested the gun and felt that the gun in her hand must be very valuable. Your brother produced the parts and I only need to add the runes and all, Rhea replied with a smile. Now the gun is yours and you can do whatever you want with it. I know. You're the best, Rhea. I really hope that you can be my sister. Amelia sighed deeply. With such a sister like Rhea, wouldn't she be able to enjoy her life more comfortably? You just want me to supply you with good magic scrolls. Rhea squinted her eyes. Ah ha ha. How can it be? Amelia looked away. Tisk. Naughty Amelia. Wait. Don't tickle me. Ah ha 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 ha. Sophia laughed when she saw Amelia and Rhea's interaction with each other. Those who saw them would really think that the two of them were truly sisters. After all, their relationship was really good. If only Ruby is also here. At this moment, Sophia was thinking that she should also treat Ruby this way and played around with the other party when there was a chance in the future. It must be fun. Ruby, who was busy with her research, felt chills on her back so suddenly. She looked around and then frowned. It couldn't be that Sophia was thinking of dragging me to the arcade again. Right? Ruby frowned when she thought about the past. She just wanted to spend her days in peace with studying and so on, but Sophia just had to drag her away to participate in various types of fun. Ruby had headache when she thought about those days. Her roommate was simply too naughty. All right, let's stop here, ladies. Arnold helped Amelia up. We're going inside. Rhea saw that Samuel had finished talking with Major General Leon and nodded in understanding. She trotted to walk beside Samuel. Does she not want to hide her identity anymore? Amelia murmured under her breath when she saw Rhea blatantly staying beside Samuel. They all knew that Samuel would definitely stay at the forefront in this journey. If she stayed beside him, wouldn't others knew about her real ability? But then again, they all knew that even if Rhea were to stay with them, it would be a waste of her ability. Samuel had just given Arnold and Stephen the gun. So in this way, 4 of them have powerful guns. If they couldn't protect themselves, they were truly not worthy of the resources that have been spent on them. I think it's already time. Arnold smiled faintly. You don't think that she will want to hide her real abilities forever, right? It's already time? Amelia looked at Arnold blankly, and after her mind wandered off for a moment, she saw his warm smile and her face flushed. No matter how many times she looked at him, she would feel that he's very handsome. So shy. Chapter 417. Start of the Hunt. Sophia saw Amelia's hopeless look and raised her head speechlessly. Since they were basically neighbor, she naturally knew about Amelia's crush towards Arnold early on. It was very obvious. Honestly, she wondered why Arnold didn't realize that, because Sophia felt like Amelia looked like a different person whenever she was around Arnold, especially when he took care of her. Let's go, Stephen reminded his sister. Yes, Tep. They walked to the open area that was based open by Mr. Black before and then looked inside. Is it there? Yes. Samuel nodded. You can send your men to open the warehouse first and you can take 20% of them. Deal. With them going to end. So Major General Leon quickly arranged for his men to open up the warehouse and collected the remaining resources there to send them back to City base. Oh, there were also some part of the resources that City. After all, they didn't want to increase the number of dead people. It was more than enough that these magic beasts outside caused a lot of death among the people, and there was no need to add more causes. These resources should be used to make their lives better and not to torture them. So before sending them away, they had to pass the safety check first. And after the arrangement, some part would belong to the military. This was their agreement when Samuel asked the military to come here. Who would throw away the coolie given for free? Cough. When the soldiers heard that part of the resources would belong to the military, they all moved quickly. None of them wanted to lag behind in such a profitable matter, because even in military they needed a lot of resources. We're here, Rhea said as she looked at the pile of corpses behind the formation that she had set. She was not surprised and simply waved her hand to remove the formation and looked at the pile of magic beasts' corpses there. The people behind her looked at her movement when removing the formation and fell silent collectively. So simple? Didn't they have to be careful when they were removing a formation in case it accidentally triggered it? But Rhea only needed to wave her hand and the entire formation disintegrated. This made some people doubtful of their lives. But they didn't have time to ponder about this because Rhea was looking at the pile of magic beasts' corpses there with a frown. It's ants.
Ants.
The others who followed behind her frowned. They knew the ability of ants to make their nest, and now these magic beasts were simply magic ants. The nest they build would definitely be very big and complicated. Who knew how many branches they would have to pass before they could reach the main chamber where the queen was located? Rhea glanced at Samuel. Are you going to proceed? Killing magic ants are not that easy. A single magic ant was weak, but if they were talking about a large number of magic ants, it would be very troublesome. One of them was the fact that their shell was hard, and they were mostly immune to the effect of fire and lightning elements. At the very least, the damage that could be done toward them was weak. On the contrary, they were weak against water element. Samuel arched his eyebrows. Did you forget that I have 4 elements? Even if he couldn't use his fire and lightning element in this battle, but he could still use his wind and earth element. These 2 elements were still pretty good, especially the wind elements that could attack in wide range. It was just that Samuel preferred the aesthetic of the lightning element, which was simply violent beauty. If others were to know that he picked the lightning element because it was beautiful in his eyes, it was estimated that they would all complain to him, because it seemed that this man couldn't give a better reason for his decision. Then again, it does look beautiful. Rhea nodded. All right then. In this case, she didn't have to worry about him not being able to defend himself. Fire and lightning elements are not very effective? Major General Leon extracted this information from their conversation. After all, Samuel's magic element was not exactly a secret. Fire is completely ineffective and lightning element's effect is halved, Samuel replied. The information of magic beasts were generally obtained by the returnees, and most of the time, they would be quite generous in sharing what they knew, because they knew that even if they didn't share it, the other returnees will definitely share it. At that time, their image in front of others would be severely challenged. No one wanted to be the bad guy without reason. And Ria sighed when she looked at these magic beasts because she felt that she had to learn how to implement other elements into the weapon. Otherwise, the effect when fighting certain magic beasts wouldn't be good. Got it. Major General Leon sighed that the gun he had just obtained wouldn't be able to play its due role. Well, just be prepared for a horde of magic ants. Yes. Ria silently took out a jade doll and after tapping its forehead, it walked into the tunnel. Even though the size of the jade doll was only 30 to 40 centimeters, but it walked really fast as if it was running. After taking one out, Ria took a few more from her world and did the same as the first one. That's... Peter, who saw that, was stunned. Jade doll, Samuel said thoughtfully. Did you enhance the paper doll? Chapter 418, How Cunning. The two of them knew the existence of the paper doll because some formation master would use it to help them. But they were surprised to see the jade doll because it was not that easy to make. Yes, that thing cost a lot of jade. Ria's face showed pain when she thought about the large amount of jade that she had to use to make each jade doll. Thankfully, she had a lot of jade collected. Most of the time, the jade dolls would be used to take care of her farm, but Ria also specifically prepared a few more jade dolls to be used as scouts. After all, Ria didn't want to travel to dangerous places without knowing anything, and using jade dolls could minimize the danger to a certain degree. Knowing that the ant nest would be filled with many branches, Ria used more than one jade dolls without hesitation. As for them broken midway, well, that was the risk that she had to take. And this was another reason why she felt that Runemaster is a profession that was specifically existed to burn money. Almost everything in their hand needed money and cost a lot of money even if it was only a one-time use. It was so painful that Ria couldn't treat money as money anymore. Otherwise, she would vomit blood in heartache and anger. After all, she was the one who wasted money. If you want jade, the military can exchange with you, Major General Leon said. Wait, the Martial Arts Association could do it too. Peter didn't want to lose. Ria, Samuel, the two of them looked at these two people speechlessly. It was clear that they wanted to take advantage of Ria's need for jade to trade with other things from her. There were so many knowledge about runes and all that Ria held in her hand. If they could get it, it would benefit them greatly. I still have a lot of jade, Samuel said without hesitation. Even if Ria keep on trading with me, it won't run out at all. The Jones family had collected a lot of good thing, including countless jade in the past. If it was necessary, he could just give those porcelains that he had in his hand. Anyway, those things were useless aside from their historical and beauty value. Though Samuel was sure that his mother might want to chase him away if he dared to do that. Mr. Samuel, you're just one person. It's very different from us who can mobilize the entire nation's resources. Major General Leon looked at Samuel with dissatisfaction. This black-hearted businessman definitely wanted to reap the greatest benefit from this exchange. This wouldn't do. He had to get more advantage. Yes, the Martial Arts Association also has a lot of resources. Peter added hurriedly. Why are you jumping around too? I don't think that your association needs runes or magic scrolls. Major General Leon, there are still people who need it, Peter protested. And what I want is the runes that can be used for clothes. As many as possible. The others? They all silently looked at Peter and felt that this man's hobby was really special. Looking at his dress today, they could see that he should have purposely picked this design because it does look handsome. But who would wear such formal clothes when they wanted to hunt magic beasts? These returnees were really eccentric one after another. I have no plan to make a large amount of jade doll, even if it's quite powerful against lower-ranked magic beasts, but it's weak against rank 3 and above magic beasts. Moreover, it used up a lot of magic cores as energy source, Ria said with a shrug. She's not that rich, all right? These jade dolls were indeed extremely useful to be a coolie. But if they were asked to fight, then these jade dolls were actually quite fragile. It was only because of Ria's formation that they could barely fight against rank 3 magic beasts. But if they were asked to fight against rank 4 magic beasts or even a more troublesome rank 3 magic beasts, they would shatter. Not only that, Ria had to use a lot of magic cores to power up these jade dolls. She was not that rich to the point that she could throw up a lot of resources. But being able to fight against rank 3 magic beasts were still powerful enough, Major General Leon argued. There were many people who couldn't fight against rank 3 magic beasts and even faltered when they were fighting against rank 1 or rank 2 magic beasts. So being able to fight against rank 3 magic beasts was actually quite a feat. It's indeed impressive. But what if I tell you that to operate the jade doll, you need several rank 3 magic core? Ria asked back. And it'll only last for a few hours to days depending on the size of the jade doll. Well, to be honest, the amount of magic cores that Ria needed would depend on what kind of task that she gave to the jade doll. If it was just to maintain her farm, she didn't need that much. After all, the jade doll was only moving methodically as her coolie to finish easy and non-energy consuming tasks. But it was completely different if she asked these jade dolls to fight. To put it bluntly, it was burning money, the kind that burned millions in just a few hours. Even if Ria has a lot of resources, she was not that prodigal to the point that she would be willing to waste so much money to play with the jade dolls. That much? Major General Leon was surprised and turned to look at Peter and Samuel. He didn't have common knowledge about this, so he had to look at these two people who were clearly more knowledgeable than him. Chapter 419. Samuel. Peter frowned when he heard that and thought about the things he had heard in that world. There were indeed many Runemaster who could make paper doll and jade doll, but he had never heard of them using these dolls to fight. If he was not wrong, well, it should be true. Peter thought for a moment. These jade dolls are usually used as a servant in the noble houses and not used for fighting. Servants? Major General Leon looked at Peter thoughtfully, wondering what kind of world that Peter lived in before. The others also silently looked at Peter and then turned to look at Samuel. Samuel's family background. It seemed to be very good, right? Sensing everyone's gaze, Samuel. He felt that it would be impossible to explain this matter. Don't think too much. These jade dolls can execute a set of order just like robots because of the formation imbued within them, Ria said. The fighting power of the jade dolls are not very strong because they're designed as assistant rather than fighter. They're good at doing housework if you order them to do so. Of course, you still need to use magic core to power it up. The others? Sorry, we're not that prodigal either. Besides, no one could be as rich as Samuel and Ria. But all of them knew that these two people would definitely spend most of their fortune to practice instead of other things. It was their pursuit to reach the top. And this desire could be seen clearly from the way they practiced crazily and also spent most of their time to practice and so on. Without strong desire and willpower, it would be impossible for them to practice so much. And they didn't even hesitate to sell some knowledge to the government for the sake of their assistance. They wanted to get stronger faster. Perhaps they were racing against time? No one but these returnees knew for sure. I make a few to help me scouting when necessary, but these jade dolls are not ordered to fight, Ria said. After all, the road is too dangerous and I don't want to fight against unknown enemy. Too dangerous? Peter looked at Ria strangely. He seemed to remember that it was Ria who beat him up badly in their spar against each other. Samuel also looked at Ria silently. If he was not wrong, she asked him to be her thug and bodyguard for a while, right? I see. Major General Leon nodded. So you don't need jade that much, Miss Ria? Yes, I don't need it. Ria shrugged and then looked at the other people behind them. Thankfully, everyone here were the people who were close to her and Samuel, so she could trust them. The other soldiers were following from a distance and didn't dare to get close to them. All right then. The two men were disappointed. They thought that they could make a fortune by making a deal with Ria. The two of them silently looked at Samuel and guessed that this man should have made a lot of fortune through this matter from Ria. TSK, how cunning. They were envious. Samuel purposely ignored their gaze because he knew very well that it was impossible for him to give up on the opportunity that was delivered to his door. Since he had a chance to make a lot of fortune, why can't he use it? Anyway, it was not a big deal for him to accept Ria's trade. Each got what they need. That was how business is. The other people also could guess the meaning of these two people's look, and Amelia stifled her laugh. Because she knew with how cunning her brother is, he should have gained a lot from the trade with Ria. Of course, she would not say it out loud. With the jade doll in front, the group walked inside and soon came into intersection. Which way to go? Peter asked curiously, looking around like a curious child. Samuel passed a sidelong glance at Peter. If you're that eager to go, you're free to go ahead. No, thank you. Peter shook his head quickly. He didn't have that much life-saving means. Once he was exhausted, it would mean instant death for him. Peter didn't want to seek death yet. He still wanted to live for a long time. It was also because of this reason that Peter had never tried to explore the crack on his own. He knew his limitation very well. Even though he could reach the best state of his body through training and conditioning, but he lacked the auxiliary means of protection. This meant that when his body failed or he was too tired, then he would be at risk of death. Peter was not stupid and would not take any unnecessary risk. This one. Ria pointed to one of them. The others are dead-end and there are a lot of magic ants there. Do you want to clean them up or leave them be for the time being? Samuel thought for a moment. Isn't it better to kill them? Ants had no way to reproduce if the queen are killed, so they're basically harmless. Ria shrugged. This was common sense even in that world. So when they were entering the ants' nest, they would usually not bother with these worker ants. If it was necessary to progress, they would kill the ants. But if it was not necessary, then they would ignore these worker ants and simply block the way to prevent these magic ants from surrounding them. In any case, a worker ants couldn't live that long. As long as they dealt with the ant queen, the entire ant colony would be destroyed sooner or later. It's really troublesome, Peter snorted. He had no way to deal with these magic ants on his own, so he could only turn his head to look at Samuel. Then I'll just close down the place. Samuel clapped his hand. Chapter 420 Hunting. Swoosh! Earth wall blocked the two tunnels heading to the other directions. Even though Samuel is a magic warrior and not a pure mage, but making this kind of wall was nothing for him. That will do. I can also set up formation, Ria said quietly. Didn't you hire me to help you fight? Samuel asked teasingly. That's in the crack and not here. Don't worry. My mana recover faster than you and it didn't consume that much. I'm not worried. The two of them bickered and it seemed that Ria had lost her restraint in front of Samuel. Well, with so many things they negotiated together, it was really hard for them to stay serious all the time with each other. Amelia looked at the two of them from the back and showed a bright smile. She seemed to be really happy when she saw the good relationship between Samuel and Ria. These two people looked really happy. Are these two? Sophia whispered in a low voice to Amelia. I don't know, but it might be close. Amelia giggled. My mother will be happy, and I will really have a new sister. Seeing the look on Amelia's face, Sophia could guess that Amelia has long liked Ria and wanted the latter to be her sister. But it was impossible for her to say this out loud to Ria because it might hurt the other party's self-esteem. Besides, if Ria were to become Amelia's family's adopted sister, it would also raise a lot of questions to the outside world, such as whether she took advantage of her friendship to enter the Jones family. Even if they knew that it was not the truth, but those people would not care about it. They cared more about the rumors and the fun stories they could hear. You better not disturb them then. Sophia chuckled. I won't. Amelia rolled her eyes. She still knew that she had to give space for them but really, she didn't actually expect this development in the beginning. The sister she wanted ended up becoming her sister-in-law? But Amelia had a troubled look. Would she be fine with someone like brother? Having lived under the same roof with Samuel for a long time, it was impossible for Amelia not to know her brother's nature. And it was precisely because of this that she felt that she seemed to be cheating Ria a bit by introducing the two of them together. Well, she should treat Ria better in the future. Anyway, she would not lose anything from this kind of exchange. Sophia silently looked at Amelia. I think that your impression of your brother is too bad. Do you really think that your brother is so bad as a person? No, not really. Amelia shook her head. But I know that he couldn't possibly put her in the highest position unless. She had seen how ambitious her brother is, and it was definitely soothing that couldn't be changed in a short period of time. That is if her brother ever wanted to change it. Isn't it a normal thing? Sophia looked at Amelia with a strange look. Not everyone has a love brain like you. TSK. I just think such a love is beautiful. Amelia pouted. Sophia shrugged and didn't talk about this matter with Amelia anymore. She knew very well that even though Amelia was born and raised in a big family, she was indeed very pampered by her family members. Unlike her, who was more sensible and understood some things clearly, Amelia was much more naive and pure. But it was also because of this that they could be friends with each other. Such love is only suitable to be in stories rather than in real world. Sophia whispered to herself and then moved to her pet a bit more. She wanted to let Melly help to guard her while they were traveling. She herself didn't believe that such love existed. Or rather, even if it does exist, it would not be her turn to enjoy it. So rather than looking for such an unbelievable thing, it's better for her to put her love towards the animals around her. At least, she knew that Melly will never betray her, and they could stay together for the rest of their lives. It's enough. Amelia looked at Sophia's back and then at Ria and Samuel far ahead. They were keeping a distance so that they would not hold these people down. She smiled faintly. She's not stupid. How could she not know that such a love is more of a fairy tale? But it didn't stop her from wishing that it could be true from the bottom of her heart. Thud! There was a loud noise from the front that attracted their attention. Peter looked at the two of them and then pointed forward. How about those? Seeing a large number of magic ants coming, Samuel stopped his teasing and said, Prepare for battle. Yes. Bang. Swish. Ria walked forward calmly, not paying attention to the magic ants that fell down around her. Her protective rune circle had the ability to replenish the mana as long as it was not consumed that quickly, so she was walking instead of running towards these magic ants. The rest of the ants were shot by the soldiers behind them. Anyway, the few that passed by them were only rank 1 to rank 2 magic ants. It was nothing for the special soldiers. There are more forks? Peter felt despair when he saw more directions to go as they went deeper into the nest. When can he go back and enjoy a proper rest? He felt that the more he spent time in this ant nest, the bitter he would be, because there were simply too many magic beasts here. Can they finish this work? This is an ant nest. What do you expect from it? Samuel asked back.